To perform the action, we are going to use one more component which is called a command button. What is command button? Command button is a component which looks, which gives you the look of a button, and it can also have an action. So when you click on that button, that action will happen, right? So let's go ahead and create this command button here on this page. So all that you need to do is just go ahead and create the command button. Apex command button. Okay, the command button component has two attributes. One is value and one is action. Value basically refers to what you want to display on the button. Okay, name of the button or label of the button. Action is what do you want to do when someone clicks on the button. Since we are using standard controller, so we have some standard actions also available, default actions. So we don't need to write anything. All that you have to do is you just have to call the action. So there is a predefined save action in the standard controller. I just have to call that action. So what will the save action do? It will save the record. That's it. So the button is ready. Value of the button is my button. So value basically displays on the button, and action will actually perform the action. Now all that we need to do here is we just need to go ahead and get the ID of a certain record and see if my action is working fine or not. Take the ID here, come to this page, question mark ID equals. Okay, now if I make any changes here, like if I change the phone number from 6000 to 7000 and I click on this button, the value will get saved. Click on it. See, the phone number got updated. Got it? So that's how it works. That's how our command button works. If I make some other changes, let's say in the fax number, I make it 8000. Click on this button, the record gets saved again. The changes will be saved in the database. See? Okay. Now there's a small thing that you might be noticing, that the moment you click on that button, you actually come out of that page, Visualforce page, and you land on this detail page of the record. Okay, so the moment you're clicking on that record, it takes you out of the Visualforce page and it takes you to the detail page of the record. Right? The view page, detail view page of the record. Now the point is that in case you don't want to come out of the Visualforce page, you want to save the changes, but you still want to stay on the same page. Now two things are happening. My save action is doing two things. The default save action saves the changes and takes you to standard detail page of the record. Fine. Now if I just want to save the changes, but I want to continue on the same page, on the same Visualforce page, I don't want to go to the standard page, then in that case you have one more action which is called QuickSave. This is also a standard action. QuickSave will save the changes and stay on the same page. Okay, name of the action is QuickSave. So all that I have to do is fix command link value action quick save button 2. Okay, so I've created one more button. I will label it button 2, and the action that I've put here is quick save. As I said, quick save is an action which will save the changes in the database. The changes will be saved, but you will stay on the same page. You will not be taken to the other page. Okay, instead of command button, I've used a command link here so that you understand that command link and command button work the same way. There's one more component called command link. The functionality is same, just that the way they look is different. Command button looks like a button and link looks like a link, right? And the functioning of both of them is same. Okay, click on this. See, now if I make any changes, 7,000, I'll make it 8,000. Click on this. The changes will get saved and you will stay on the same page. The changes have got saved, but you are still on the same page, right? Whereas a save action is gonna save the changes and take you to the other page. Right? So these are two common save actions which we use while working with our command buttons or command link. Right? So let me create one more page here. Standard controller equals, let's say, account and fix. Okay. Now it's view section and edit section. So what I've done, I've just used a few page blocks and page block sections just for designing the layout, right? So there's a page block section. It by default has two columns. So under one column, I've put a view section. Under other column, I've put an edit section. That's what we have done. Now here, if you say fetch output field value equals name. We can just have the name of the account here. Okay, so what I've done, we have just this I'm just creating a section where I can display the data in the left hand side section, in the view section, and on the right side in the edit section I am just going to put the input fields. Okay, apex input field, value is going to be account dot name, type industry. Okay, we'll use a form tag. We'll put the line breaks also. Fine. One side I've put the data to view the records, one side I have put the input fields. So if I take the ID and put it here in the URL, question mark ID equals, paste the ID, have a look at it. Okay, you can see the output data here. This is the input field. Now if you include a command button here with a quick save, you will be able to see the changes here itself. Okay. Let's create a command button. Value can be save now. Action is going to be quick save. Action will be always written within curly brackets starting with an exclamation mark. So it has to have that expression. That's it. Okay. If I change anything here, customer channel, do this. This is a quick save. So it's not going to go to the other page. It's going to stay on the same page. Correct? But you will be able to see the changes here because this is the output thing. So this customer direct should get changed to customer channel. Click on save. You see the change? Correct. So quick save is changing the things or the updating the database, but it's not moving away from that page. Whereas a normal save action will save the changes and immediately take you to the other page. Clear? So that's how it works. Okay. Let me know if anyone has a question or doubt here with the save and quick save thing. How we are using it. Are we clear? Save, quick save, both the things.
Can you just repeat that customer channel thing? Basically, the quick save function is similar to Salesforce. Salesforce also has a quick save button, right?
Right. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Um,
So
so, I mean,
basically what happens is
customer channel was the previous record, right?
the
Or the
same
edited
same
record.
same record, edge communication. When you, I just wanted to show you that the like industry is electronics, right? Now if I change it here,
Yeah.
banking,
Yeah.
we'll do a quick save and see if that is actually getting updated or not. Yes, it's getting updated. So that's what.
Okay. And it stays in the same record.
On the same page, not on the same record. Same record
Okay, on the
obviously and
same
same
page.
page. If
And then
it's a,
next time when I change and again press save now, then will this record get updated or there will be a new
yes,
record formed?
no, this record gets updated.
Okay. So
Save, quick
this
save,
record will keep on getting updated and it will stay on the same screen.
right, correct.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So now coming to the list of records. So we have talked about single records. We have seen, how we can actually display them and all. Now let's come to the list of records. How do you display list of records? Now, so far, whatever page we have created, every page is is meant for a single record, and every time you have to supply the ID. What if you want to create a page for displaying list of accounts? Then you have to use another controller, which is the standard list controller. Okay. In that case, you have to use another controller, which is standard list controller. Okay. Okay. How do you use a standard list controller? Standard list controller is to be used the same way the way we use a standard controller, but there is a bit little difference. Let me create a page and show it to you. So standard list controller is again ultimately what we are doing. We are using the standard functionality. I mean, we are not going to write any program. We are not going to write any instruction. We are just going to leverage the existing controller which Salesforce is using for its pages. So first thing that you have to do is you just have to go ahead and call the page. So say standard controller, whatever you want, account or something. And along with defining the standard controller, while you're trying to create a page for list of records, along with defining the standard controller, you have to define one more attribute, which is called record set var. Okay, record set var is basically a variable for the set of records. As you can understand, record set var variable for the list of records. Now this record set var is actually going to be used for uh, calling the list of records. Okay, so this is a variable which will hold the list of records, and you can give it, this is just a variable, you can give it whatever name you want. I will call it xyz. Okay, so if you want to create a page for list of records, all that you have to do is call a standard controller and define a variable for the list of records. As simple as that. Okay, and variable name you can give whatever you want. Done. Now let me go and create a page block for the title list of accounts, and okay, now since I'm going to deal with list of records, I need components to accommodate list of records. Multiple records I'm going to show here on this page. So I need uh, the components which can hold multiple records. So primarily what I'm looking at is a table, because when you are trying to display multiple records, you will have to show that in form of a table. So there's a component called apex page block table, which we are going to use. Apex page block table has two required attributes. One is value. Value, basically in value you define what set of records you want to display in the table. So what is the set of record which I want to display? XYZ. And there is one more attribute called var, which again stands for variable. So this is again another variable for this expression. Okay, so you can just give it any other name. Now once you have defined the attribute, so once you've created the table and in the table you have defined the attribute value and var, it's time for you to create the columns in the table. The table will have columns also, right? So now when I say that I want to display list of records, then you might want to display different columns from the account, right? Name, phone number, fax number, industry, whatever. So for each field, now we have to create a column because I'm going to deal with multiple records. There's another attribute, there's another component called apex column. We will use it and we will define this. X dot name. One more column. Export phone. So in the table we have created, just try and understand the structure. So in the table, one you have defined what data you want to display. Then inside the table we have created two different columns. One column will have the name, the other column will have the phone. Click on save. See, got it? Just give me one moment. Yes. Okay. So if I want few more columns to be displayed, all that I have to do is I just have to call the column and put the value, what value you want to put in the column. X dot industry, X dot facts. Save it. See, now your data has four different columns. Fine. So interesting thing is that in this page we don't have to supply the ID because I'm dealing with the list of records. The previous page with the standard controller was only meant for one record. That's the reason why you always have to define an ID in the URL, because that page was always looking for that, okay, which record data, that sort of thing. So you always need to supply the ID. Here it's not that case. It's a list of records. It's gonna display the list of records here, and that's how it is. Okay. So let me know if anyone has a challenge understanding how we created a list controller. Are we all clear on this? Shall we do
I
one
have
more
a
example?
question, Jeet.
Please go ahead.
Quick question.
Hmm.
The variable you used as X
Uh-huh.
uh, for every single column. Okay. So the basically the system is able to identify and we need to give it as X or Y or Z, whatever we can give, and the system will identify because we have given page standard controller equal to account and record check variable equal to uh, underscore this quotes. So
Right.
how does the system understand to take X as a account
Because yeah, that's
and
what you're
having
looking
also
at.
given because the standard controller is account.
Because the standard controller is account.
Yeah.
So what is this doing? It is actually connecting your page to the account object. Correct?
Account. Right. Right.
What does this mean?
This is the list of controller, right?
List
Record
of
set
records.
variable. Account and
List of records from which object?
account. Standard controller.
Correct.
Right.
So XYZ is list of accounts in this case at least. So it's list of accounts.
Okay.
Fine. Now I say X is a variable. Instead of calling the XYZ, I'm just gonna call it X. So X is also a list of accounts.
Mm.
Correct.
Right.
When I say instead of this expression, I'm gonna use this variable, then system understand that okay, fine, X is also a list of accounts. That's it.
You can use Y as well.
Whatever. Variable name can be whatever you want.
No, does the variable name has to match with the record set variable XYZ? Oh, G can also be given. Okay.
But in that case, here while you're calling it, you should again name this thing. So whatever variable
Like,
name,
why do why is that directly
sorry,
XYZ dot name we can use that way also, right? Why we are using in between Y and we referring that X dot name.
no. So
Yeah, that's exactly my question.
okay, your question is good, but the point is that this is a different component. Got it? This is a different component. This is a different component. So in this example, it happens that this is a variable and I'm calling that variable here, but it could have been some other thing also, right? So for that reason, they have defined a syntax that in page block table, usually this can be a long expression also. Let's say account dot contacts or something like that. Okay. So usually once you get a little familiar with this. So for that reason, they have designed this component in such a way that it needs two attributes. One will be the value will have be the basically list of records that you want to display, and then there is a variable, right? Variable to simplify this. So that's how the syntax just for simplifying the thing. So there are certain rules that we need to follow, or certain grammar that we need to follow. So every time we cannot have a why do we need to do this. That why might not be applicable everywhere. So that's a syntax. So let's just take it as a syntax. For example, if you say why do I even need to, in that case you should ask why do I even need to define XYZ here? Why can't I straight away go with account? The way it has been defined, we will follow that, right? And in this case you're feeling that there are two variables, but always it's not going to be a record set var. It will, as you do more examples, you will see that this might not be a variable, this might be something else, right? It might be a long expression also. So it becomes important, or at least easy for the end users to have a variable here, so that that short variable can be called easily. So like x a b, instead of calling that long expression every time. Clear? I'll keep it.
And XYZ is the standard. It's a standard to be used for every record, every program, or you can change anything. XYZ,
Variable name is always anything. Variable
anything.
name can be Sudhir Kumar or Sudhir Nair. Variable name can be anything. So let's just focus on it rather than looking into what could have been done, or what Visualforce can do to improve their coding. Let's understand that variable name is going to be same, similar. Sorry, a variable name is going to be anything. But whatever variable name you define here, that's what you have to call here.
Okay. Okay.
The variable name across the world, variable name can be anything, not just for Salesforce programming, anything. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So if you define whatever name here, that is exactly you'll have to call here in case of a standard list controller. Otherwise, it will not understand that you are trying to call the same thing. Okay. Now this is the list of records. Call it as a value. For this expression, I define a variable. Now this variable I call inside here. Right? So how things are going. You see, if you see, this connection is happening from here to here, and this connection is happening from here to here. Okay, clear? Any questions on this? We are fine. Okay, now a small thing. The previous example, we were dealing with an input field. Input field basically allowed me to edit the data, right? So I can understand that we can display the data as a read-only format, or we can display the data in input field format also. Input field format will basically allow the end user to edit the record or edit the value. Correct? Now, This is where on this page I've created a list controller, and on this page I see all read-only data. This is read-only, this is also read-only, this is also read-only. If you want to make it input field, how will you do that? I want to use the input field component here. Okay. Currently the account name, let's say account name is read-only. I just want to make it input field component. How can we do that? It's pretty simple. You just have to go to your column component. Try and understand this. I will comment it out. Now here we are going to start a column component and then close a column component. So initiate the column, close the column tag, and in between this put an input field component. And the value can be the same. Okay. It requires a form tag. Yes. So we'll have to put the form tag here. See, now I've got the input field component for the entire column. So in case you want to include this kind of a component, you just have to put inside the column component, which means start the column component, close the column component, and within the column component you put it like this. Fine. Okay. Now if you want, you can make any changes here. Becomes unlimited. Okay. Now a small question for you all. When I am changing it here, is the change getting saved in the database? Is it getting updated in the database? Making the changes here?
No,
No.
no.
Right? How will it get saved in the database?
Action button.
Right. The same thing. So remaining all concept remain the same. Just that uh, you have to include the input field component inside the column component. Anything if you want to make this entire column as a command link, then all that you have to do is inside the column component. For example, let me comment it out also. You know what is commenting, right? Commenting a line of code means it will not have any effect in the page. Okay, it will not be displayed on the page. It will just remain here as a comment. So let me put a command link. Command link, and I put the value equals see now this entire column has become link, command link, right? So you can uh, use any component for displaying the data, like input field, command link, output field. This is the way of putting it. Put it inside the column tags. Start the column, close the column, in between whatever you want to put, you can. Clear how we are actually using a column component. Now we are putting other components inside the column. Okay, so coming back to my input field thing. Let me come back to the input field component. Now there's a small problem with this. I can make it input field component, but I can include an input field component here, but the problem is that it does not look that nice. Changing this entire column into an input field component, converting all the values into input field component is not looking that very nice. Okay. So I have been told by the client that, see, we don't want to see the data like this. We just want to see the data in the form of like a read-only data, but still they should be able to edit the records. Okay. The client has given us a requirement that it is not looking that professional. Okay. Because every field looks like it's already an input field. The client wants to see the data like read-only data, the way this is being displayed, but still they should be able to edit it. Okay. How do we do that? So for that, let's create another page, P7. Record set where. The record set where can be anything. I'll just create a page block, edit, title, accounts, text, page block, table. Okay. Two attributes that we need to use on a page block table. What are those? Two attributes to be used on page block table. What are those two attributes? Value. Okay.
Window title value.
Value. Title is not
One
there.
is value and one is value and one is variable.
One is value, one is variable. Value in this case, what will be value? What's going to be value in this case?
X.
Yes. But not like this. You'll have to put it in a formula expression. And variable can be again anything. Let me take it as A. And then we will create the columns. Okay. This is how simple it is. You won't need more than 5 minutes to create a Visualforce page. Okay. Now, my requirement is that the data should be displayed as a read-only format, but the end user should be able to he should be able to edit the data. Okay. So for that, there is another component which is called an inline edit support. Inline edit support. Okay. Inline edit support component basically needs to be used inside the page block table. So just before closing the table, put this component apex inline edit support. Okay, just call this component, don't do anything else. Save it.
Don't we need Apex form since the user will be editing the data?
Absolutely correct. So use the form. Save. Done. Okay. Now the entire UI looks as if the record is read only. All that you have to do, you just have to go to a record and double click on it. Do you see this? What inline edit support is doing? It allows you inline edit. Inline edit is basically you can double click and edit the record. Clear? Okay. Now try and understand the inline edit support, how it is actually affecting the entire table. If you look at here, see, this is my Apex page block table. I've used the inline edit support component here. As a result, all these fields are getting affected. All these columns are getting affected. Okay. Now I want one of you to tell me, if I just want the inline edit support for phone field, then what will I do?
It needs to be put inside the column component,
It
separated
needs
out.
to be put inside the column component. Very good. So what we'll need to do, because currently it's inside the page block table component, that's actually affecting everything. If I just need it for one column, I have to put this component inside the column component. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. So which column are we talking about? Phone. Okay, so I will make it like this. And here, so we'll have to start the column component and close the column component, correct? Okay, this is what we are talking about. Let's try to save it. Okay. So the problem with the column component is that if you are extending a column component, basically if you have a start and end of it, then you cannot put the value attribute in this. Got it? The problem with the column component is that either it should be in the same line, either it should terminate on the same line, then you can use the value attribute. Okay, you can you may specify either a value attribute or a body of the column component. So either you can put a body inside the component or you can give it a value, which makes sense, right? Both the things cannot be done. So now what is the solution to this? If I cannot put value here, then where should I put the value? Inside the body, right?
Yeah.
Just think about the last example that we did. We used column
It will
component.
come in the next line. Yeah.
Yeah, to
Apex
call that
after.
variable with the name. Yes.
So next line it will come, that's good. But again, I cannot simply write value here. what I have to do? I have to use some component, input field, output field kind of component, correct? To call
Yes.
the value attribute, because value attribute has to be there, right? So some component will call the value attribute. So I have two options. One is input field, the other is output field. Which one you think is going to be apt in this situation? Let me take you to the previous page.
Output field.
Okay. Let's go to the previous example that we were doing some time back, which had input field, output field both. Mm, yeah. This is input field. This is output field. Which one you think is going to be apt in this case?
Output field.
Output field.
Okay. Why not input field? What are we
It will
trying?
display another text box.
Yes. And what are we trying to do actually? My first requirement was that I don't want to display the data as input field, right? And if I am displaying it as an input field, then there is no need of an inline edit support. If your data is already in this format, if it is being displayed in the format of a text box, then what is the point actually having an inline edit support, right? So the component which is apt here is output field. Okay, so output field value is going to be a dot what phone. Okay. Now since I've used output field component, I have to put the inline edit inside the output field component. So you will start output field, you will end the output field component, and in between the output field you will put the inline edit support. Got it? So column, inside the column there is output field, inside the output field there is inline edit support. Now you will see that your inline edit support is available for the phone number, but it's not available for name. Double click on the name, no, it's not working. Got it? So this is how you actually put that inline edit support on one single column. Now there's a small thing that you might be noticing. The moment you put a body to the column, you add a body in the column, this label or the header of the column is gone, right? By default, you get the header of the column if you have not put a body. So if you are using a column with a value attribute, then it automatically takes the header of the column from the value. But if you are not using that value attribute, then what is happening? The header is not visible. Okay, so because it does not have a value attribute to pick the header from, in that case you can define a custom value to the header. You can use another attribute called header value and put the value there. Okay, the header value attribute will allow you to put your own header value. Fine. Let me know if anyone has a question or doubt here with the inline edit support or the standard list controller.